You wake up in the morning, you're starving. You go over to your perfect favorite nonstick pan. All you can imagine is a perfect little egg sandwich. You crack an egg right into this. And you can hear it sizzling. It's perfection. You can move it. You have your perfect meal in the making. And it's because of this beautiful nonstick pan, and it's because of the PFAs that help make this pan.
What is a PFAS? So these are a lot of lubricants, surfactants. They're found in a lot of household substances. These are either per or polyfluoroalkyl substances, and there's about 4,700 of them, man-made substances that are known to have potential risks to patients, to humans. What's interesting is that a lot of the information we know about them have really only come to light in about the last decade or so.
Pleasure to be here. You ready? Let's do this. These compounds are basically a mixture of carbon chains, and per the name, they have fluorinated in them. This fluorine, carbon, hydrogen, and potentially oxygen combination make them so useful. They can be resistant to heat, they can be resistant to water, they can be resistant to grease, all of these different components which make them phenomenal for products. They've been around for decades and decades, and they've been used in products since the 1940s, 1950s.
These chemicals are sometimes colloquially known as forever chemicals.
They're known to be in hundreds of thousands of products that are used every single day.
The big challenge with them is that they don't break down. They don't break down in the environment, they don't break down in living tissues, and so there's an accumulation effect.
Think of every time you have your fancy, water repellent jacket and you wash it, because they tell you to wash it, it's good for it. Every time you do that small action, every time you wash your hair, you use cosmetics that have these PFASs in them. You wash your face at the end of the day. All of this is slowly introducing all of these products into your water system. Now you go and you drink your cold glass of water and you're like, wow, that's delicious. That has PFAS in them. Not by anything you did, but also by everything you did. It'll then end up in your soil, it'll potentially end up in your food, and on and on and on.
Many of those same compounds may already be in your yard.
Yeah, that's because at least 9 common lawn and garden fertilizers have also been found to contain biosolids with PFAS chemicals.
Look at this surface. You barely have to do anything, and you've seen those the infomercials, they're just, taking an egg and the egg is just flying off the pan.
Stuck on eggs? Burnt on batter. Introducing the Granite Rock Pan, the world's most durable non-stick pan known to man.
PFAs.
Great example of a PFA. It's a substance that, just doesn't allow things to stick to it.
When you wash that pan at the end of the day, you rinse it off, the water goes down the drain, your pan's clean, you're happy. It's your favorite pan. You've used it for literally a decade. Over time, that washing is slowly getting it off of your pan and into your water system. Now, that's gone into the Bow River. It's your local drinking water source. And although there's many filtration formats present for drinking water, that is slowly added into your water system.
As you're cooking, if there's a break or a tear in the coating, that slowly chips away, breaks off. That's going to be ingested and absorbed through the digestive tract into your blood, and they accumulate. Your body has a really hard time getting rid of these substances.
Your plastic water bottle is known to have fluorinated compounds in it, meaning that it also has your PFAs in it. When you have your water bottle that's so great for you, as you drink from it, the PFAs are leaching from the plastic into your actual water. The same is actually true for this. You wouldn't think that your metal water bottle would have any portion of plastic or anything that would have to with PFAs, but it does. Well, imagine you're at your local fast food joint, you've just grabbed a quick and delicious snack, and this is now soaking wet. Has that ever happened to you? The answer should be no. It should never be soaking wet. Reason is your PFAs. They are not prone to grease, so grease will not break them down, meaning this is the perfect wrapper, made perfectly to avoid your delicious treat that's quite greasy to ruin the wrapper. Now, over time, if it sits, you might see a little stain, you might see a little spot. But the reality is your PFAs allow for you to get away with technically clean hands, technically overall clean wrapper, even if you threw this in your bag with everything else that you have that is expensive and you don't want to damage from grease. That's the value of PFAs. Your food is in this. Your PFAs are in this. Your PFAs can travel from the wrapper into your food. So when you're wondering, well, how did it get into my body? It's this.
We went and tested receipts. We demonstrated kind of that this is a real risk to not just consumers, but to the people, the cashiers who are handling these receipts every day.
So something like this that is so simple, that's handed to you all the time, every single day, can actually be detrimental for not just you, your friends, your family, but generations to come. Think of how many cosmetic products there are, right? Just in your day-to-day life, if it's not for you, think of a partner, think of a sibling, think of a parent. What do they put on their face? What do they put on their body every single day? All of those assume have PFAs in them.
The products we use every day, on our face, close to our eyes, that we may be inhaling, on our lips that we might be ingesting. So these are, a higher hazard for whenever we're talking about putting stuff on our bodies that can be a real risk to our health.
They can be the cause of many cancers. They can be the cause of many diseases and illnesses.
So 98.5% of Canadians had one of the three following PFAs: perfluorooctane sulfonate, a perfluorooctanoic acid, and perfluorohexane sulfonate. These are three PFAs that currently in Canada are, banned, not allowed to be produced any further. But what we do know is, like I said, these are forever chemicals, very hard to break down, if not impossible, in the environment and in people and animals, and so they accumulate.
They are very comfortable being in human tissue, human and animal tissue. So if they're getting into the animals that then we're consuming later on, they're magnifying, they're building up, there's more of them. We've accumulated these toxins, and these toxins are very comfortably living in our bodies, and just like in our products, they're not breaking down very quickly.
Scientists are also trying to determine what levels in hay could be safe for animals to eat. This past winter, they had to replace an entire herd of Jersey cows after they consumed contaminated hay purchased from an organic farm. That farm, though, was not aware of the contamination at the time.
At this point, there's no known treatments or methodology to reduce the levels in human or animal tissues.
You have something that you've utilized in so many products for so many years. They don't break down, so how do you get rid of them? This is an issue that impacts everyone and everyone's health and safety. So a lot of our goal as scientists and as chemists is, can we make instruments that can get you good data, high quality data, and reliable data to then make sure that everyone it impacts, which is everyone, is safe. How many people know about these compounds? How many people know they exist? How many people know that they're in our day-to-day products? And once you get the public involved, the public can actually play a massive role in eliciting change. When people know what the impacts are to themselves, to their loved ones, to their friends and family, that's when they really do step up. You don't need to have a higher level of any form of education to understand that something can hurt you, it can risk you, and it's in products all around you.
We are trying to bring more transparency to all the substances that industry uses, which are often known as confidential business information, the trade secrets, the masked names that they're allowed to use to protect their intellectual property, but that really leaves us in the dark about what's even in these products or what we're being exposed to in our communities.
We live in a very capitalistic society. The goal is to enhance profits. That's always going to be the bottom line, even if it's at the risk of the environment, because money is more valuable than the environment. And it's very unfortunate to say that. I don't believe that in my own life, but I know the society we live in.
Specific subtypes of PFAS, so ones that are known to be at higher risk, are regulated and banned in Canada. So certain ones, Health Canada has already taken actions to, limit any potential exposure. But as a broad category, like I said, 4,700 different compounds, there isn't that regulation.
We have a regulatory system that is only dealing with a very small number of PFAS.
They set it for 6. So imagine this. We know there's more, but we've only just scratched the surface of how many we've set limits to.
To protect our health, we need stronger rules for compliance, and then that ambition should exceed that compliance. So that's where we use retailer action to highlight the major gaps in Canadian regulations around substances.
It's going from setting limits for 6 to setting limits to 10 to setting limits to 20 and on and on and on, and allowing us scientists to keep up with that as well.
When you change the rules, industry complies. And it does take strong leadership to push back against the industry lobbyists that resist that change. But it's the only way that we get progress for our health, for workers, for people who are using products that, really do, have exposure-related health risks that harm our environment and so on.
The regulations are improving. So a few years ago, Health Canada issued a fairly aggressive 2-year timeline to do a comprehensive report on PFAS.
Right now, the federal government is considering how they will deal with PFAS as a class. And it is a real moment to be able to tell, the elected representatives that work for us that we want to see strong action on this class of substance.
You have to find out at what levels they're harmful to humans and what levels we cannot allow. And then you have to find better ways to try to remove them.
This is where Health Canada is doing their study to better understand it, to understand what regulatory elements are in place, and then can provide, the best advice and guidance to Canadians and also to industry partners on the regulatory piece. They're going to be reducing the ability for them to be produced and used in consumer products.
We really need not only kind of these individual substances regulated, we need to think about the class of substance so that we're taking this holistic approach that doesn't create the conditions for regrettable substitution.
I've seen rice straws used as one of the biodegradable options compared to plastic straws. The pro of items like that is you have an item that can break down. Many of you may feel like the item breaks down in your drink while you're consuming it, but one thing that we have to consider then is if I've studied arsenic in rice, that rice straw probably has a good amount of arsenic in it. Now you've exposed yourself to a different toxin that you may not have thought about, and it's now come into your body as well. So one of the considerations we have to make is as we come up with solutions to current problems, we have to make sure that the solutions are not creating a new, different problem.
It's obviously extremely difficult for us to manage these exposures on an individual basis, and that's why we work at a policy level to change the system.
The best advice we can give right now is, maybe limit the use of products that have it. So these Teflon pots, they're great, but maybe think about reducing their use. Maybe think of other alternatives. That's really all that can be done at this point.
We produce guides such as the Toxic Top 10 to provide people with some indication of what to look for on the labels of, say, personal care products or cosmetics.
There's a real push for finding organic substitutes and natural, more biodegradable substitutes for these same products. Are there options available? Absolutely. Are they the most cost-effective today? No. Do I believe that we will make a push to make those better options and more utilized and usable options? For sure.